Okay, ready? Ready. Okay. Good evening, everyone. If I could call our meeting to order of the Glendora City Council for Tuesday, October 10th, 2023. Let the record show that all council members are present. For the audience here tonight, the city of Glendora utilizes hybrid meeting format to allow for participation both in person and virtually. So in consideration of others, please silence your phones if you're here in person and refrain from speaking unless recognized. At this time, if I could ask the city attorney to read us into closed session.
You can, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for that opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen who may be with us in person or watching virtually, the City Council has two items on its closed session agenda tonight. Item number one involves the conducting the performance evaluation for the position of city attorney. The authority to do so in closed session is Government Code Section 54957. The other involves real property negotiations regarding the disposition of the 1762 Dale Road property, whose assessor parcel number is identified in the closed session listing. The authority to meet in closed session to discuss such items as Government Code Section 54956.8. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thanks, Bill. With that, I will go ahead and open public comment. If you're here in person, please fill out one of our speaker cards and get it to the clerk. If you're on Zoom, use the raised hand icon to be recognized. I don't see anyone here in person. Is there anyone on Zoom wishing to speak?
No, Mayor.
Okay, well, I will close public comment and adjourn us or recess us into closed session at 6:03. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to reconvene our meeting back into open session at 7:07 PM. And I'm going to ask that our city attorney read us out a closed session on one item, and Assistant City Manager Lopez is going to address one of the other ones.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, ladies and gentlemen. City Council had two items on its closed session agenda. With respect to the performance evaluation for the position of city attorney, there was a privileged and confidential briefing and a discussion of succession planning, and there will be a future closed session agenda regarding the same.
Okay, thank you. With that, Moises?
Good evening, Officer Mayor and City Council. As it relates to item number 2, in relation to real property negotiators, I have an update to provide following last night's community meeting relative to the Dale property. And in light of the disposition of the property that will occur in the future, I have some information to share with the council members relative to the next milestones that will pertain to the discussion in the future development of that property. In December, we will be presenting to the city council in open session a discussion of the progress that the city has made relative to homeless services in our community. There will be a progress report that details all of the programs that we implemented over the last year and the results of those programs. So, as a follow-up to that discussion in January, we will have a discussion that relates to the Dale property, specifically presenting concepts relative to what prospective development could occur on that site. The accommodation as an affordable housing project or some other component.
Thank you. Related to, can everybody hear me now? Related to the provision of services on that particular site. That will be, again, an open discussion. We will follow up that discussion in January with community meeting number 2, where we will go back out to the community to enlist the feedback of our community members relative to those concepts so that we can take all of that feedback and input and develop a request for proposals that we can subsequently issue to the marketplace to qualified developers ahead of that disposition of that particular property. Just as a side note, and following last night's city council community meeting with residents in the surrounding area of the Dale property, we got a lot of questions. We will be updating the city's website to include frequently asked questions, to provide answers to many of the questions that were provided there, and update that website on a regular basis based on the outreach that we receive so far, including the direction that we received today in closed session.
Okay, thank you, Moises. I appreciate it. Okay, with that, if I could ask everyone, please stand, and can you lead us in an invocation?
Let us join together in prayer. Comforting and sustaining God, we are thankful for your presence, especially amid these times in which we find our world torn apart by conflict and war. We are mindful of the victims of violence and terrorism and war, and we pray that your presence will be with them to offer them hope and healing and comfort. And during this month of October, in which we pause to reflect upon those whose lives have been impacted by breast cancer, we offer our prayers for those who continue the fight. And we pray for your wisdom and guidance to be with those who are continuing to work for a cure. We pray that all of us do our best each and every day to work for peace, to work to listen to one another, to work for those things that build up the community. May we do the best for the common good, and may we continue to allow peace to begin within each of us and as we interact with one another. Amen.
Thank you, Karen. And if you'd remain standing and please join me in the pledge. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first up, is anybody interested in reordering or adding anything to the agenda this evening? Okay. With that, I will go ahead and open public comment. and invite members of the public to address the council, and speakers are limited to 3 minutes, speaking once both on and off agenda items. If you're in attendance here in person, please fill out one of the speaker cards and hand it to our city clerk, and we'll get you up here to the podium. Please state your name and the subject matter which you want to talk about, and please address all of your comments to the presiding officer, which is me. If you are participating via Zoom and you would like to speak, please use the raised hand icon, and we'll call on you as soon as we have heard from everybody that's here in person. So we'll open the public comment, and I will go ahead and start. I've got Steve Ryan.
Good evening. My name is Steve Ryan. I live in south part of Glendora. I wanted to make just a couple quick comments on the Dale Road project that's on the agendas later. I'm finding out later down the road. I just a couple comments that I wanted to make is that, well, first I want to express my disapproval for this proposed development. I think there are other developments that I think we can utilize that property for. I won't go into a lot of detail just yet, but I also wanted to find out if the city had any ideas of any other developments that are being besides I don't want to call it a homeless shelter yet, because I'm not sure that it's completely identified as a homeless shelter, but that's what's being said around the community. My next comment was, I don't think there was enough information sent out to the residents in that particular area. I didn't know about this until about 30 minutes ago. I saw it on social media, and I thought I needed to come up and express my view about this. The other thing I would also like to comment on is I have not seen any information from any of the council members on how they feel about this project. I don't know if I'm looking in the wrong areas, but I would really like to find out how each and every single one of you feel about this project as well. With that, I want to convey my disapproval for this proposed development at this point.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Next up, Hector Rosero.
And
Evening.
good evening. My name's Hector O'Hara with Project 2911. I'm a fellow Glendorian resident and a board member for Project 2911, a food bank in Covina. We serve all of LA County, including the residents here in Glendora. And I'm just wanted to remind everybody, first of all, that we do serve, like I said, people here in Glendora, the residents here. And we actually are open to the public on Fridays at 12:30, even though there are people who show up a couple of hours earlier before we even start. But so, if you know anybody in need, we would just love to have them over. As well, since last time, I came here and actually announced one of our events for an open house. I got to meet, some people from the Glendora Rotary Club, and we also met some people from the Glendora Welfare Association. So, basically, we're thankful for their support as well. And I did want to invite each one of you council members to one of our fundraisers. We're having a luncheon on October 28th. It's a fundraiser that we're having at the West Covina South Hills Country Club. And it's just one of our annual fundraisers. It's a very lovely event. We will have a silent auction as well. We have some for the football fans. We have some USC football games that we're raffling off, as well as some USC basketball games, some Rose Parade tickets, grandstand level for those who like. Anyways, so it's a fundraiser. We would love to have you guys there to support and to be there. And I do have some invitations here for you guys and anybody else who's wanting to go. I have some extra invitations as well. So it'd be lovely to have you guys. If I have a, well, just I was gonna read some stats, but that'll be fine. But thank you guys always for, I know some of you guys did attend our last event, so we're very grateful for those who did. And I know some of you try to, but I know stuff happens, so, but thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Hector.
All right. Here you go.
Hey. Next up, yeah, leave the invitations and get them out. I've got, is it Tai-Pen Chen? Yeah, please, come on. Good evening.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to, with my neighbors, to let you guys know that we are strongly against the proposal that setting up a homeless shelter in the property that you just acquired. I also attend last night's meeting at the church, and my question for you guys: have you guys decided what to do with the property yet, or do we, as a resident of Glendora, have any saying in this process? Like last night, almost everyone there is against the project, and I don't know if it had anything can help to make the decision of what kind of a building or what kind of use going to be on this property. And the reason that I came here 10 years ago and I live here for almost 10 years now. And the reason we came here because it's a safe and quiet little town. And in our opinion, setting up homeless shelter will change everything of the city. I don't know, because some of you guys say this is a pressure from the county or the state, and if you don't do it, some of you will be sued personally by the county. And I don't know if do you have any law basis for this kind of a situation, like on what basis or what kind of regulation that you guys have this kind of pressure or afraid that you can be sued personally by the county? If you do, can you like put it on the city's website, or can you send out this kind of the information to the resident of us? And also another thing is I'm aware that most of the neighbors that I talk to, they don't know this project. They're not aware of what happened in the city. And I hope that the city will do something that let more people know about the project. You can either send out flyer, or you can either put the flyer in utility bills, water bills, or whichever way. But I think because this is a project affect everyone in the city, and I hope you guys can let everyone, every resident here know these issues before you guys make a decision on this.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, I've got Joseph Zhao. Welcome, Joseph.
Thank you. Dear Mayor and all the councilmen, my name is Joseph. I have been living in Glendora for more than 35 years. My kids all grew up here and graduated from GHS. I wish to express my opposition to the proposed construction of the homeless shelter this city. Reason one, the proposed site is in close proximity to family residences. This could result in safety concern especially for our kids. Reason two, it may cause the potential de-evaluating property. Dear Mayor, I know you have been a real estate agent for a long time. And you should know that the homeless shelter could lead a decreasing property value. So many cities nearby have refused to set up homeless shelters. Arcadia, San Dimas, Rolling Heights, Diamond Bar, and other cities as well. So please listen to the voices of the resident not to build a homeless shelter in this beautiful city. And also, I think is it possible to review the process? How do you purchase this land? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Joe. And we'll have an opportunity to answer some of these questions at the end of the public comment period. Okay, next up. I apologize if I messed the name up. Is it Durga Kanamili? Good evening. Oh, I did? Okay.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity for me to speak here. I'm about the same thing as my previous gentleman said. I'm against the proposal. We've been living in Glendora for 6 years, and my kids went to middle school and high school here. They're also going to the Citrus. So we are native to this place, we feel like, and having homeless shelter built is inviting trouble. I wish you'd look at opposite and say, we want to keep our city safe. There are enough statistics out there that building a homeless shelter in a city will create more work for the city to deal with, more work for residents to deal with. It creates more stress. There should be other ways to address this issue. I feel like this is not our problem, but you guys are making it as our problem. I think I want you to reconsider this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Next, I've got Debbie Lopez.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
I'm also a resident here of Glendora for the past 25 years. I chose this city because I worked downtown LA, and I chose to live here because it was a safe, beautiful town. I was exposed downtown to all that was there. A lot of homeless, a lot of crime. And I can say that there's not enough public notice for the residents there. I just found out 30 minutes, like the other gentleman did, when the neighbor passed me a flyer that I have here. This is the first I've heard of it. I got this flyer from her 30 minutes ago. I happened to be getting my mail when I got home, and she handed it to me. And I saw that this is something very urgent for me to be here. I know we all talk about homeless bringing, crime and such, and it's true, they do. I was a personal witness to that downtown. It's going to create a lot of quality of life issues for us, a lot of quality of life issues that you guys aren't even exposed to. Being neighbors directly in that vicinity, just for example, and I'm going to quantify that by saying, look at the Palms restaurant that was at Grand and Laxford. It was there vacant for so long, we had homeless there. What we got was dumped vehicles. We had people peeping Toms. We had people breaking into cars to the point where we didn't even call the police because nothing could be done because our criminal justice system doesn't punish. So what are we left with? To allow this to continue to happen in our neighborhoods? Because this is what's going to be there for us, not you folks, for us. We live there. We're vested there. And what I'm asking for is, what are these funds going to be utilized to purchase this property when those funds can go back to the community? For example, go back to the emergency services, give it to the police, give it to the fire so that we can have better resources for us as residents, for people who come to visit. Allow them to have that freedom to be able to walk and not have to worry about getting mugged or burglarized, their cars broken into, because nobody gets punished. And again, please hear us. We're concerned. I was so concerned to come here on 30 minutes notice, and I'm sure everybody else here has the same issues. So please listen to us.
Hey, thank you. Elizabeth Reuter.
Hello, friends.
Howdy.
My name is Elizabeth Reuter and I'm here in my official capacity as the president of the school board for Glendora Unified School District right now. And I first want to thank my colleague, Mr. Thompson, for attending our school board meeting last night. I know you all had a very important meeting. So thank you for sparing him to come and celebrate our Glendora Pipe Band members last night. They had a wonderful time in Scotland this summer and were very successful in their competitions. And we really appreciate the partnership that we have with the city, that you all took the time to acknowledge these students and their wonderful accomplishments. So thank you first for sparing him that way. And then I made a board member comment last night that involved you all here. So I thought it was only fair that I made you aware, given that you were otherwise occupied. First, I want to say that the Glendora Unified School District and the city of Glendora have enjoyed a wonderful relationship, and we've been partners on a lot of things. In the last couple of weeks, we have experienced a few unauthorized individuals on our school campus, and that's been an issue that I've talked to my counterparts here at the city, specifically Mr. Boyer and Mr. Thompson this year in our 2x2 meetings. Safety for our students and our staff is probably number one as far as the school board is concerned. And I know that you all feel the same way. We've been great partners. Anytime there has been an issue, GPD is right there, and I really want to thank them. I saw Chief Egan earlier. They are always right there supporting any of our needs. So what seems to have happened over time, though, is there's a little bit of a double standard as it relates to unauthorized individuals on our campuses. We may see somebody that we don't think belongs there at all. And we might pick up the phone and call Glendora Police Department to assist. But we may also see our next door neighbor walking their golden retriever around the track at Goddard during the school hours. And both of those people shouldn't be on our campus at those times. And so I just wanted to have the opportunity to talk to people who weren't at the school board meeting last night or didn't watch the school board meeting. We have a whole different group of people here to ask our citizens to keep an eye on themselves and what they're doing as far as it relates to school property when the kids are in session, right? Be aware of our responsibilities that way. And then if somebody really is maybe from out of town or really doesn't belong there, ask our community members if they see something to please say something. Really, the priority of safety is up at the utmost. So I look forward to, we have a meeting coming up on, I believe it's November 2nd, where it will be myself and Mr. Clifford and our superintendent, Dr. DeGrazia, with Mr. Boyer and Mr. Thompson and Mr. Raymond, our 2x2 meetings, where I know we will continue to address public safety and the safety of our schools. But I sincerely want to thank you for your partnership and just bring this to your attention that we are experiencing an uptick of people that are on the property that way. That's all I have to say.
Thanks,
Thank you all.
Elizabeth.
Appreciate you.
Next up, Gary Lackman.
Mayor, Council, I've been a resident of Glendora for 56 years, and I've always admired the fact that the city was run with an eye on safety and on the well-being of its citizens. And I'm opposed very much to the establishment of a homeless shelter. Some council members have indicated that they might be sued for opposing this homeless shelter. Well, in the United States of America, people can be sued for anything at any time. And I encourage you to have the backbone to stand up against this project for the safety of its citizens, for the drugs that it might introduce into the community, for the destruction of property values of residents who have put enormous sums of money into their homes. if other cities have council members with a backbone, which I believe we do, band with them and oppose this outrageous pushing of this project onto your citizens whom you represent. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I don't have any other public comment cards at this point, so if we could check on, oh.
We can.
What is it? Yep, on it.
Good evening, everyone. So as a lot of our neighbors, I just heard this news yesterday. And I appreciate everyone coming out here and I appreciate all the board members. You guys good heart. Like, I know you are trying to seek opportunity to help the Glendora City to resolve this issue. But however, I think building the homeless shelter is not resolving the root cause of this issue. But as neighbors said, this will invite more issues to the community. For example, the safety, the well-being, introduce the drug, right? A lot of things. And we might, I mean, I know you guys, I sent an email to you guys today, but I know you guys are looking for some options or opinions and what we could resolve this issue. I think we do not have enough time to get involved in this issue. So for example, I just talked to my husband before I come here. So I wrote out some options, how we can resolve this one. So building the shelter is not the root cause. This is not the effective, productive solution to this issue. So I think all of our neighbors, we would like to stand up. I hope you can hear our voice. We can work together to find some solution, but we're just not giving the opportunity to provide our feedback. So we can work, I think everybody would like to work as a public servant, or at least and just a neighbor. So we can work with the local organization and social service in other cities to provide outreach programs. For example, mental health service, job training, and addiction rehabilitation. So this can be helping to resolve this root cause issue of this situation. So as I said, I'm against my whole family. I think all of the neighbors here are against this building construction of the homeless shelter. This is not the effective and productive way to use the money, the funding from this city. So I'm against this one. So hopefully you can hear our voice and all of others' voice. And we're here to support you guys. And I know all of us would like to make this problem resolved, make it better, but this is not one of the way that we would like. So I hope you can take our opinion into consideration. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. And just an FYI, I did have your card, so it was up here. I just missed it. I apologize for that. Okay, next, Rich Gill. Welcome, Rich.
Good evening. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Rich Gill, and I'm pretty much been an advocate in several cities from San Dimas, Laverne, Hacienda Heights, Claremont. Many of these cities are dealing with issues that you're dealing with now. One of the reasons I know about Glendora is one of the first meetings I attended was when Glendora was dealing with 6 acres of land that the state said will become low income. And I was hoping that you would shed some information on that. These parcels of land that we're dealing with, regardless of what city you're in, it's hard with some of these companies. In San Dimas and Laverne, we're dealing with National Core. In Claremont, they're dealing with Jamboree. And with Hacienda Heights, they're dealing with a company called Works. We are combining our efforts to fight this situation to the best of our abilities. It is not just a city council issue. It is a state and a county issue. And that's the one thing that you have to understand. We have to unite to fight this on a higher level. And that's what we're doing. Because united, we can make a difference. The homeless issue is everywhere, and it will only get worse as time goes on. And we have to understand that. You are not alone, because there are cities around you that are fighting it. So please understand, and please know that we are working together to try to solve this issue. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Rich. Okay, that was my last one, unless I missed anybody else. Is there anybody on Zoom that is with the raised hand icon?
There is no one on Zoom, and I do want to remind you that if you want to make a public comment in regards to that agenda item, now is your time to provide that public comment.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I'll go ahead and close public comment.
And I'm sorry, Mayor.
Yes.
We did receive one correspondence related to agenda item number 12. It will be incorporated in the agenda packet, has been distributed to the city council and is available and was made available to the public.
Okay, thank you. And just so everybody knows, item number 12 has to do with sign ordinances, so that'll be included there. So, we'd like to address some of the issues here. I would like to start by thanking Elizabeth for coming by and talking to us. I think it's important for the community to know that the city of Glendora, the police department, the school district all work very, very closely together to make sure that we keep our schools and our kids safe. One of the things that we've had here in Glendora for a number of years is the fact that our schools are relatively open. They're not as closed as they are in other communities. And so as residents, we have a responsibility to make sure, especially during school hours, that the schools remain secure and safe as much as they can be. And so I do appreciate Elizabeth coming by. I do want to address a couple things, and I'm going to ask Adam to speak up as well. The one thing that a number of people mentioned that you were concerned because you haven't had enough time to digest this and at last minute notices and things that are going out. You need to understand that what we're doing right now is we are starting with this process. So we're nowhere near making decisions as far as what is going to be happening. The assistant city manager shared with you one of the conversations we had in closed session had to do with next steps. And so we will be having additional updates with more information as to exactly what we are dealing with and other processes. There will be additional community meetings, and your voices are important. That's the reason we are having the community meetings and inviting everybody to get involved. We live here in Glendora too. Our kids, our grandkids all live here. So we want to make sure that this community stays safe. So we as a community are going to come to a solution, but we do understand that homelessness is an issue that we have to address. And we've got to figure out the best way to do that moving forward. So Adam, if you could just maybe share a little bit about, I also wanted to address, Rich, your comment on San Jose. Because the San Jose property, again, just like so many things, it's a long process. So we've been giving updates to the people that live in the neighborhood over by the San Jose property and been in constant communication with that neighborhood. But where we are at that point, we went through the process that as required by the state via the Surplus Lands Act to offer that property to low-income housing developers. And we were not able to come to an agreement with any low-income housing developer that we felt met the needs of our community. So we have already gotten permission from the Housing and Community Development Department at the state of California to go ahead and proceed with market rate developers. The property, because it is surplus land owned by the city, it's required by state law that it is going to have to be made available for housing. So something is going to be built there. We'll continue that conversation with that neighborhood and with the rest of the community as well. But right now we are at the process that we are looking at market rate developers and trying to decide who's going to come up with the best project that's going to fit with that neighborhood. So these conversations are important. We do listen, and we will continue this conversation. But Adam, if you could share a little bit more about some of the intricacies of what we're dealing with
Sure.
this conversation.
Good evening, everyone. Lots of new faces in the audience tonight. We've missed you. We've been here for many, many years. It's good to see some of you. Wanted to take a brief step back and sort of talk about the conversations that the city council has had and how we ended up purchasing the Dale Road property to begin with. As many of you may know, there is a landmark case in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals that occurs in 2019 called Martin v. Boise, which sets this precedent forward that if the city is not able to offer shelter, cannot enforce its anti-camping and other ordinances. Really appreciated the comments this evening from speakers that talked about public safety. Should be noted that the city of Glendora, when the new DA took his seat in that position, was one of the first cities to reach out and say, how do we help you prosecute quality of life crimes, from trespassing to drugs to petty theft, both juveniles and adults? How do we help address those? Some of the directives of the DA sort of allowed this laissez-faire type of attitudes towards some of those quality of life crimes, which have impacted all of us who live in the city. I live here too. My 2 children attend local schools here. Subsequent to 2009, the city saw an increase of its homeless population from about 40 to 65, then 85, then 144. In fact, the city takes the temperature of its residents in a community survey, which is a scientific survey done. The city's done it periodically every couple of years since 2011. You can find those on the city's website at cityofglendora.org/community surveys. In 2019, something happened for the very first time in the city's history, which is more than a quarter of the residents thought that one singular issue was the top quality of life concern, and that was homelessness. Subsequent to COVID and additional changes in case law surrounding homelessness and other quality of life issues, the city has updated its community survey, and those results were published in 2022, which also listed homelessness as the #1 concern of the city. The city has a multi-year strategic plan. The most current one was adopted in April of this year. One of the items is inclusive of homelessness. City Council has taken the attitude of what gets funded gets done, which is why in our annual budget, we include spending both in the general fund, Measure E, housing set-aside funds, specifically to help affordable housing, and listed addressing homelessness and updating its strategic element towards homelessness in that plan. In fact, if you stick around this evening, we will give you an update on where we're at on that strategic plan, which is 4 months in from its start date in July. We have had a number of conversations on homelessness starting in 2019. Based on a community survey on homelessness, we knew the residents were looking at a multi-agency localized approach to help deal with homelessness. All of you are right. The city's never had to deal with homelessness on large scale before, but both the state and county have gotten rid of their responsibilities and placed more responsibilities on cities. With Measure E, the cities help fund additional services, both in the police department, our community services, and human services division. You may see our outreach van driving around. We have an agreement with LA CADA. I'm not sure how many of these are back there, but the city of Glendora has issued a guide and resource for homelessness where there's food pantry, there's various options. The city's taken its obligations very, very serious. We've actually acquired 8 emergency shelter beds through our agreement with LA CADA to help us enforce quality of life ordinances, but also get people off the street that need to do so. During COVID, we funded our own money and funded homeless individuals staying in hotels and motels to get them off the street. We didn't do the home key approach because our attitude at a city level was always to help our local Glendorans first. We didn't want to have to take other individuals from other agencies. It was really important for us to move forward in that approach. While many of you are here for the first time this evening, the homelessness conversation and affordable housing has been before the city council no less than 15 times in public meetings since 2019. The meeting last night was posted on the city's agenda. We actually handed flyers to the adjacent neighborhoods, and we've been in contact with many of those residents for a periodic basis about this project. The city council, as the mayor stated last night and Councilman Alawa stated, is we don't have a finalized project. We don't know. It's the entire thing. I think it's pretty safe to say from some of the feedback, the city doesn't have intentions to build a 2-acre homelessness facility. The city will look at affordable housing or other components in that area. If you go to the city's website, cityofglendora.org/Dale Road, you will see the presentation from last night. You will have a better understanding of what affordable housing actually is. A low-income family in LA County, a family of 4, qualifies under $110,000 a year. As housing has become more expensive, it's created another challenge as it relates to finding affordable housing for individuals to live in the communities they want to do so. So when we sit here and we talk about, and the council does, and from a staff level, and we have these conversations, it's not been an overnight thing. In fact, it's been many, many years of very public conversations. So as Moises indicated, and I know he's back there and I won't ask him to come through all the people, but we will have an update on homelessness in December. We'll have public discussions on options for the site in January. We'll have another public meetings around the same time with some additional council direction in February. So we're a long way away from having a decision, but through this process that we hope you take the chance to become educated on the topic and what the city's already doing. We're spending $1 million a year more now than we were 3 years ago in dealing with homelessness. And that's from cleanups of encampments. That's from additional police officers in our community impact team. That's from additional staff in our human services team, all to address this problem that cities have never had to address before. We agree with you. It's a quality of life issue. It's a challenge. It's a public safety issue. We're all on the same page. It is a difficult topic and not one that I think we'll be able to address overnight, but we plan to do it together. So very much appreciate you coming in. Thank you for allowing me, Mayor, the lengthy response. A lot of new faces here. Always great to talk about what we're doing and happy to answer any other questions.
Yeah, no, appreciate it, Adam. And again, just stay tuned, stay informed, and please continue this conversation. And together we'll figure something out by the time we get to the finish line of this. But it's a long way away. We shared last night that we're probably looking at 2 to 3 years before anything starts to be built down there. So it will be a long conversation before we get to anything. So that is it for that. I'll bring it back to council for any additional statements. Michael, go ahead.
So the mayor and Adam, our city manager, eloquently explained what's going on, and this has not been an overnight situation. The whole key to this is for us to listen to what the community wants, what they don't want, and to come to some solution, because we are faced with an issue with homelessness, affordability. The state is very challenged to live in because of the cost of living and things of that nature. So I'm put my email address is on the website. If you folks do WeChat, I'm on WeChat. I can be part of whatever group you have with that as well. Our job here is to listen and to collectively come with some solutions. Just as a point of fact, we'd started out, I think around the COVID time, is somewhere around 200 homeless that I guess we had counted roughly in the city. We're hovering right around a little over 80 homeless folks. About half of those folks have connections here with Glendora. Were part of the community at one point in time, and they found themselves to be homeless. So they are part of our community, and we need to find some solutions to work through that process. And as far as the danger and quality of life issues here in the city, homeless folks are in and around everywhere. They're not just necessarily congregating in one area. We have high concentration in certain areas, but they are throughout the entire city. So if you think that it doesn't matter, if they're in a transitional facility or affordability facility, They're everywhere. And, we need to deal with the issue. Every city is dealing with this issue. The state has made things more challenging for us. They've, as Adam has mentioned, they have given up a lot of their responsibility, even though they've put a lot of money towards it. But there's other solutions they can do, and they have chosen not to. And the same with the county as well. So again, we're here to listen. As the mayor had mentioned, it's a long process. So please reach out and let's come together with a solution or solutions to make this happen. But something has to happen. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. David?
Thank you. First, I'd like to call out and recognize some Boy Scouts in the audience. I can smell a citizenship and the community merit badge project being looked at, and what a night to come and learn about civic events, huh? I'm a counselor for that, so I recognize it. Good job. I went to last night's meeting at the church to learn about the Dale Road project, to learn. Okay, I took my ears, I listened, I heard great comments. But I think, as it's been shared, we're just developing. This is in its infancy. We don't have a plan. We have a dream and a desire. The desire is to take the people that Michael shared are in our community everywhere already. So we're not inviting and bringing, and this solution isn't going to gain more out of our process. It's going to help us live with and work with and help cure the problems of some of the people that need the help. So please be constructive, bring it along as a solution, and let's figure out how can we not don't do. Let's figure out what to do. Lastly, I reported a couple of meetings ago on communication and efforts with the County of Los Angeles to help us in a quality of life effort again, work on our Arrow Highway corridor that is adjacent to the city of Glendora and a couple of other communities. Had some encouraging reports on that. Sad to report, we've had a little reverse action on it. So we're being slow. The county's run into a couple of hiccups, and so their timeline has been extended. The efforts are not ceasing, that they will persist, and I'm sure we will prevail to help in that area and corridor also. So please support, keep your ears open. Let's move together as a team, and we can make this the community we all moved to. Okay. We came here for a good reason. That reason will stay. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, David. Karen?
Nothing to add that hasn't been said. Thanks.
Okay. Mendel?
Yeah, I would echo everything that's been said. I hope that you'll all know that we are here to listen. We're here to engage. Nothing has been planned. There's no plans. There's not a builder. There's nothing. So stay engaged. As Adam has said, there's going to be some other times that we're going to talk, but it's a problem that we have to acknowledge. We have to work on. I think that Debbie Lopez said it right. There's, housing is one piece, but there's all kinds of other parts of this that need to be addressed. And if you have an answer for us, we'd love to hear it, because we want to try to answer this issue. So give us a chance. And I think that we, working as a team, are going to come up with something good. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Mendel. And just to reiterate again, stay engaged, keep the conversation going, and together we'll work this out to make a decision that's best for the entire community. So thank you, everybody. Okay, at this point, I'd like to invite Chief Egan to join us. Where are you at, Chief?
Sorry about that. I was being respectful of everyone's space. Good evening, all. Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, members of the audience. October is Breast Cancer Awareness. I appreciate all of you wearing different shades of pink. Kudos and celebratory to you. I'm here as the model. They are here as the spokespersons. I am modeling our 2023 Glendora Police Department patch. I'm hawking it. You need to buy them. Buy as many as you can. And I'm going to hand it over to Julie and Deanna to talk about our fundraisers coming up this month and all the things we're doing in furtherance of our mission to fight cancer and breast cancer awareness.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. Each October, we turn our patches pink in support of breast cancer awareness as a part of the Pink Patch Project. It's a campaign that's worldwide now, and all of the law enforcement agencies and other government agencies participate. They design their patches. We have a new one that we design every single year, and it's to bring awareness to breast cancer. It's been proven that early detection is key for breast cancer. It affects both women and men. So we're here to spread the word, invite our community to participate and support the project. We have several events coming up that you can help with, and I'll turn it over to Dina.
Hello. Okay, so we have 3 different ways that you guys can donate. The first one is in our station. It's called Coins for a Cure. So if you have any loose change at all, there's a big pink stand in our station. You can dump it off. If you bring your kids, we have a limited edition sticker for them. The second one is on October 26th. It's a fitness night over at Active 7 Fit. It's $10 and all the proceeds go to cancer research. And the third one is on October 19th at Spaghetti Eddie's. It's our pink patches and pasta. So you can come in, eat some pasta. You can donate, buy our merch. All the donations go to cancer research.
And our pink patches and t-shirts are available in the lobby of the Glendora Police Department. And if you'd like to come in and purchase one, we're there Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I appreciate you hearing us out. It's an important cause.
Okay, now everybody pony up for these. Make sure and reach out to these guys. Adam, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Yes, under statements really quick. Can you please pull the slide? That up there? Okay. Good evening again. Just a quick update. As many people may know, there's a train coming to town, the Gold Line, otherwise known as the A Line. The 2 pictures here that you're looking at are essentially the northeast corner of Vermont and Route 66. On the left, you will see a metro map that was provided. On the right, you will see the Foothill Gold Line Construction Authority map. As was predicated when the Gold Line station was being developed, there would be some potential development opportunities either through Metro or the Gold Line Construction Authority. As it turns out, the Gold Line Construction Authority purchased some additional property above and beyond what was needed for the parking facility for the future Gold Line station. Both of these agencies have listed the properties which, as you will know, overlap here. One is a subset of the other through future development. As public agencies in the state of California, both the Gold Line Construction Authority and Metro must go through the state's Housing and Community Development Department, otherwise known as HCD, to go through the Surplus Land Act. Surplus Land Act is how public agencies must dispose of land either through long-term lease or sale for future development. A couple things I just wanted to make sure that we were aware of. Many businesses in this area have been made aware that these properties were going to be sold. The city and the city council have been made aware that these 2 measures are moving forward. As it's part of the state's potential Surplus Land Act, there would be an affordability component of between 15 and 20% on any housing development in this area. This area is zoned for 30 units to the acre on housing and 3 stories. This represents the most dense or intensified development of any area. The city largely done to help the city meet the state's RENA numbers, which are housing targets the state provides every agency that we must zone for. I think a couple really important notes is neither Metro or the Gold Line Construction Authority has local control over the city zoning, which means, excuse me, the city, excuse me, the city will be a partner in any development that does occur here. It's also important to note the city has received a grant from Metro for some visioning in this area, and included in the city's strategic plan is development or future development of this area in line with both the council priorities and the community needs. So if you see any publicity on this, the city is aware. You can visit our website for more information. And as always, you can ask staff, and happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, appreciate the update, Adam. And, you know, just to clarify for those of you that were here about what else we're dealing with, there's a lot of things going on right now that some that are out of our control and some we're trying to stay within the state guidelines. I would like to address one comment that you made, because sometimes people hear something and they're to take away. You mentioned that the city will be a partner in what happens with these properties. I just want to clarify, we're not involved in whatever the development is of the property. By being a partner, it means we will have some say over what is developed at those properties, but they are currently owned by the construction authority, and they will be sold to developers, and we will have some jurisdiction over what ends up being built there.
Yes.
So,
and
okay.
the only other update I have this evening, we received notice late today, Route 66, where by compromise line, where the overpass, that access will be closed in both directions. The city's pushed that out on its media notifications. As you may have noticed, if you've driven under that underpass, there's quite a bit of concrete work that needs to be completed. They're going to do that this evening. So city, we made it aware. We've let all the appropriate parties know, but that will be occurring this evening from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. tomorrow.
Okay, so it's closed now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, up next, we've got into our special items. Item number 3, a presentation of the San Gabriel Valley COGS on programs and initiatives. I understand Community Relations Ricky Choi, and also Manager of Transportation. Welcome, Ricky.
Thank you. All right. Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. My name is Ricky Choi. I'm Director of Government Community Relations with the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments. I'm actually joined here tonight by my colleagues, Roy Choi, Manager of Transportation, No Relation, along with Stephanie Hernandez, who's actually a resident of the city of Glendora. So great to be here today. I'm actually a huge fan of Donut Man, so I'm really excited. I'm really excited that my work duties has brought me here to the great city of Glendora tonight. Tonight, I will provide a brief update on the COGS programs and initiatives, and also highlight some of our accomplishments of the past year and some of our plans for the upcoming year. But first, I wanted to also take the opportunity to see. There we go. I want to take this opportunity to thank Mayor Boyer, as well as Councilman Aluos, for serving as delegates on the governing board. And also just want to also mention that Councilman Aluos is a member of the ENR and Energy, Environment, and Natural Resources Committee. Mayor Boyer is also on our homelessness committee. No, Councilman Davis is on a homeless committee. And I believe
Regional Housing Trust.
Yes, that's right. Mayor Boyer is also a member of the Regional Housing Trust, and Councilmember Davis, it was great seeing you last week at the Civic Build event in the City of Baldwin Park. So, I have to say, Councilmember Freenall is also on our Water Committee. So thank you for serving on the COG in those capacities. And staff is actually also very active with the COG. Just wanted to mention that Transportation Manager Stephen Matier serves on our Transportation Committee, and your City Manager Adam Raymond serves on our City Manager's Steering Committee. So a lot of participation from the City of Glendora. So we're very appreciative of that. So what is the COG and what do we do? As you know, the COG is a joint powers authority. We were formed in 1994, and we represent the 31 cities in the San Gabriel Valley, including the city of Glendora, 2 LA County Supervisorial Districts, SD1, SD5, along with 3 municipal water districts. The 34-member governing board provides guidance, sets policy for the agency, and each member city is represented by a delegate and or its alternate. And so the COG is a sub-regional government agency that works closely with our San Gabriel Valley cities to foster cooperation and collaboration to address a lot of the regional issues and key challenges that our region faces. And so our primary mission is really to collaborate on projects of regional significance, forge consensus on a number of issues that impact our regions and the cities in the San Gabriel Valley, and advocate for regional solutions and that will enhance the quality of life for the 1.5 million residents in the San Gabriel Valley. And so we manage and operate a number of regional programs that serve our member agencies with the goal of meeting our common needs, providing local answers, improving the quality of life, and putting our neighbors first. Meeting common needs. The COG provides funding and technical assistance to support and provide regional solutions and implement programs to help our cities address a number of complex issues. We at the COG really put an emphasis on regional strategies that support our unique and diverse cities, cities such as the city of Glendora. Our programs maximize local dollars to help each of our cities comply with a number of state laws and regulations that might not come with the support that it needs to implement from Sacramento. And so we find innovative solutions to address the common needs of the cities in our subregion. One example of such program is our food recovery program, which Glendora is a participant of. And if you, as you are aware, SB 1383, it requires cities to do a number of things. Requires cities to do inspections of grocery stores, restaurants, and other facilities to ensure that edible food is not being thrown away, but instead donated. And so with the COGS food recovery program, we're doing just that for the cities who are participating, and we're getting this done. And so this is one example of a program that is really focused on bringing the cities together to maximize resources to help the cities comply with a number of these state mandates. Next is our goal of implementing local answers. Each community, as you know, has its own unique needs, and the COG provides innovative solutions and support to address those needs. Part of it is working to secure state and federal funding to support a number of these locally based solutions and programs to meet the challenges that we share in this region. And so what you see here are a number of photos, are actually the 3 examples of over the past year of federal and state funding that we were able to secure for our SGV Workforce Development Program, which is focused on providing supportive services and on-the-job training for at-risk youth, as well as persons experiencing homelessness, as well as for our SGV Care Mobile Crisis Response Program. And that is a mobile crisis program that's designed to provide an alternative mobile response to law enforcement for those who are experiencing a mental health crisis. And moving on to the goal of improving the quality of life for those in the San Gabriel Valley. Improving the safety, health, and livability of San Gabriel Valley residents is so important. And what you can see here is a list of all the different programs that the COG is implementing to try to achieve this, and including the Go SGV bike share program, which is actually a subscription-based e-bike program that offer residents a month-long subscription to check out an e-bike and see if this is something that they would like to continue using in the long run. And so it's a program that that attempts to get people out of their cars and into e-bikes. And the city is also part of the neighborhood coyote program that promotes coyote safety and provides outreach services and education for residents that encounter coyotes. But one project that I wanted to highlight, of course, is the East San Gabriel Valley Sustainable Multimodal Improvement Project. It's a mouthful, which is a series of first and last mile improvement projects, bus system improvements and enhancements as well, that encompass the communities in the East San Gabriel Valley. Cities of Azusa, Claremont, Covina, Glendora, Laverne, Pomona, and San Dimas. And so the East San Gabriel Valley SMIP program for short is going to provide critical transit connections for families, families as well as commuters and individual riders, and build a comprehensive, efficient, cohesive, and safe multimodal transportation network that will transform the region and provide connections to vital services, employment centers, schools, and other recreational facilities. And of course, also support the investments in the eventual Metro A or formerly Gold Line improvements. So these improvements for the city of Glendora mean first mile, last mile improvements at on Glendora Avenue, as well as Foothill Boulevard. It'll mean some urban trails, improvements in Little and Big Dalton Wash. And the item on the project that we're very excited about, the Glendora People Movement Project, will be considered later this evening. And so the project will significantly improve connectivity, enhance safety, and provide a coherent and active transportation network that will capitalize on the improvements that you will see along the corridor and along the light rail corridor, and reduce the transportation gaps between the neighboring cities. So we're thrilled to see the progress the city has made on this project, and we look forward to a successful partnership. And finally, the concept of putting our neighbors first. And we want to make sure and ensure that all of our neighbors, especially our most vulnerable neighbors, have access to homes, to jobs, and get the care that they need. And one example of that, a program that we're spearheading at the moment, is the Broadband Needs Assessment and Strategic Plan. And that includes the city of Glendora. And the idea is to close the digital divide for unserved and underserved communities. And we're trying to assess that and ensure that there's digital equity so that all of our neighbors have access to reliable and affordable broadband internet service. Now we just want to highlight some of our accomplishments and the success that we've had with some of our programs this past year. We've been very fortunate and grateful for the support that we've been given from the federal, state, and county government. In the past year, the COG has been able to successfully secure nearly $75 million in federal, state, and county funds that will support our regional programs and initiatives that serve our member cities. We're very proud and excited to share some of the highlights of our successes in our programming this past year. And they include serving over 2,800 clients in our regional homelessness programs and city pilot programs. As I mentioned, we relaunched the reimagined Go SGV bike share program, again, enhancing mobility in an affordable and sustainable way. We put in 105 interim housing for individuals and families experiencing homelessness in the San Gabriel Valley. We recently broke ground on the 5760 Confluence project that will improve safety and address the nation's 7th worst and the state's worst truck bottleneck. And we have also recently completed the Fairway Grade Separation project in the City of Industry and the community of Roland Heights, helping to better connect the San Gabriel Valley and improve roadway safety. And finally, we also launched our SGV Works workforce development program, which I mentioned, and it has supported 51 participants so far. We're really proud and excited to highlight some of our programs that we're planning this upcoming year as well. We're looking to continue to improve safety in the region with the construction of the Turnbull Canyon Road Grade Separation Project, which is in the City of Industry and the community of Hacienda Heights, as well as the Montebello Corridor Grade Separation projects. We're going to complete the San Gabriel Valley Transit Feasibility Study, which is focusing on improving mobility and transit in the region, and identifying and building the infrastructure to support the transit needs of the residents in the region, to take them to work, to school, and back home in a safe and efficient manner. And we also will be working with a number of nonprofit partners in the San Gabriel Valley and to establish 3 regional food recovery hubs. And that will help reduce food insecurity in the region and feed our neighbors in need. And we also plan to complete 60 home energy reviews as part of our efficient SGV program to help residents save on their electricity bills. We'll also look to expand our SGV care program to 3 additional cities. And finally, we're going to complete the improvements at the renovations at the Diamond Bar Golf Course that's related to the 5760 Confluence project, and reopen the golf course to the public. And so that in a nutshell is I guess a condensed little version overview of the COGS programs initiatives and the plans for the upcoming year. And just want to take this opportunity to thank the council for having me here today again. And of course, express our sincere gratitude to city staff who's been great partners and great to work with throughout this entire time. So the COGS continues to look forward to be a partner with the city of Glendora as we work together to address our common needs and challenges in hopes of enhancing the quality of life for the San Gabriel Valley. So with that completes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Well, we really appreciate the update. You guys are extremely busy.
Yes, we are.
And we always appreciate the support of the COG and everything that's done by you and your staff and our ability to be involved as well. Does anybody have any questions?
They give me once a month for all my.
You got all your questions answered? Anybody else? Okay, well, I guess we're good to go. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Okay, item number 4 is strategic plan update. I believe
Good
Adam?
evening again. Thank you very much, Roxanne. We're gonna try something a little new tonight. We'll see if we can mess this up. So here we go. As we indicated earlier, where is, hold on, move this down. There we go. All right. So as I indicated earlier in a previous update, the city council has undertaken its new strategic plan. It was approved in April, went into effect July 1st. We're 4 months into that, a little bit over 4 months, I suppose, and wanted to provide all of you with an update. Typically, this update takes place via a PowerPoint. We wanted to share with you a little bit of the more integrated look on how we're taking our strategic plan and using it as a work plan for city staff. So first and foremost, what I'm showing you this evening in talking with Sam, our IT director, we're going to try to make a version of this available to the public so they also can have some more granular look at what we're doing. So our plan adopted for 2023-2025 is inclusive of 7 goals. Within those 7 goals are 49 objectives. Included in those 49 objectives are currently 188 unique tasks. Those 188 tasks are largely not minor things, but large things. A lot of them will come to city council. As you'll note in your staff reports, we have a strategic planning section where you know the goal and that we're undertaking. So as this is our first time, we'll just go through at a high level. We'll be back before in January with a little more robust look. So implementing a strategic economic development, maintaining a financial stability and sustainability, enhancing employee development and retention, enhancing and modernizing the organization, improving and maintaining infrastructures and facilities, implementing a strategic homeless solutions, and enhancing community engagement and presence, both of which you saw earlier this evening. On both of those are the 7 goals. So as we delve in, let's just use implement strategic economic development here. And we were to click on this, it would open up a new page in our planner, which breaks out all the objectives. So if you were to click over here, you would see that this is updating our economic development plan. We have various tasks associated with that. If I scroll down on this, oh boy, messed this up here. I'll have to take my word for it. But if you look on objective 3, for example, which is completing village projects, you'll see at the bottom is 2 completed tasks. So how this is formatted, a little more difficult to move down, but you can click on this and it'll show you what our 2 completed tasks are, which is the Mita Avenue improvements, which we all love, and outdoor dining program, which we have the permits up and running. So we're working on those. In a nutshell, of the 188 unique tasks, we've completed 18 of those. 91, or a little more than 50%, are underway. 40% of those tasks are not there, but wanted to share with you something really briefly here and a summary tool that we will use. Let's go. I don't know why this doesn't want to do this. The Zoom taskbar covers everything up top. So what's that? What's the up top part that has problems? There we go. All right. So as we go here, there is an analytics page that we can look at that can show us a little more detail on when things have been looked at, when things have been addressed. We'll click out of this. We go into goal 1 again here, and we go to the charts. We can look at all of the various items that are underway. You can find out in this goal, we have not started. 14, 16 are in progress, and 7 have been completed. We can go through the individual items to show them. Highlighting a couple of the important factors. We've had economic development workshop before the city council. We talked about economic development leakage. We've also completed some of the village tasks as it relates to the housing cycle. Some big wins for us. We've received certification on our housing element. We've undertaken several of the other rezoning, which are currently underway. We have some surplus property that we talked about earlier, Mayor. You gave an update on San Jose. That's reflected over here under objective 6, complete disposition of city property. And just to provide the public some additional information, if I were to click on any of these tasks here, it brings up some additional information. It shows who the task is assigned to. It gives a brief update on the surplus. Working forward at 15% affordability levels. It talks about a medium priority and that it's in progress. So a little more granular detail. When we return to you in January, we plan to have some more reporting functionality. We plan to be able to have all of you utilize the system, but just wanted to briefly share through the first 4 months again of the 188 tasks, more than half are already underway for this next 2-year period. About 10% of those are completed and 40% of those are waiting to kick off. So happy to answer any questions. No, we have a full agenda this evening, but wanted to share with you a little more how this is engaged in the work plans of your department directors and their city staff this evening. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, Adam. Any questions? Nope. Okay. How long has this been up on our website?
This is actually on our intranet. We're working to get it on our website.
Oh, okay.
So no pressure, Sam, back there. But this is really what our ultimate goal was. We had a 3-year work plan, but this really provides more granular detail. And not only can people see the staff members assigned to them if they have questions, but they can also keep track of where we're at. So really important for us moving forward that we're able to have this level of visibility into what the council's asked us to take on.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, we have our consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar will be enacted by one motion without individual discussion, unless anybody would like to pull any items.
I'll move items 5 through 9.
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second.
And now I will conduct oral roll call. Councilmember Elowis.
Yes.
Councilmember Friedendahl.
Yes.
Councilmember Davis.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Thompson.
Yes.
Mayor Boyer.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, appreciate it. Item number 10, execute a memorandum of agreement between the city of Glendora and the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments for $6.6 million in funding for the Glendora People Movement Project Stephen Mateer to report. Welcome, Stephen.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council. Roxanne, the clicker. I'll wait for my item to come on the screen.
Get us off the screen.
Yes. This is not my good side, so.
Lorky's kind of laid the foundation for you.
Yes.
Paved a path for you to travel on. There you go.
Yeah. All right, thank you. So the item before you is to execute the memorandum of understanding with the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments for our portion of the, I'm going to apologize for the length of this name, the East San Gabriel Sustainable Multimodal Improvements Project. As part of that, this is related to funding for the city's People Movement Project. I'll describe what that is, the structure of the COGS MOA with the city, the funding and schedule for each of those projects, and then our next steps. So the People Movement Project are 10 miles of active transportation improvements across the city. They consist of first last mile access improvements to the future Glendora A-Line station, and also urban trails, which are walking, biking paths along our 3 flood control channels in the city. In total, that is a $21 million investment. To date, we have secured nearly $12 million in grants and about 1.5 million in committed CIP funds. This is a map that shows you with the full build out of 10 miles. This is where we got that $21 million from. And as I mentioned, that's the breakdown. We were tentatively awarded the 6.6 million from the HGV COG, which is the subject of the MOA tonight. We received $5 million from the congressional earmark process from Congresswoman Judy Chu, and the city set aside 1.5 million in CIP funds. A year ago, the city went through a priority phasing process to look at what would come first in these projects. What was adopted is scenario 1, which originally included Glendora Avenue, Little Dalton Wash, and the San Dimas Wash. Since we received the congressional earmark, we were able to accelerate Foothill Boulevard into scenario 1. This brings this scenario 1 total cost to $14.2 million, and there is a gap of $1.5 million. So what is the People Movement? What will look like? The next 3 renderings are the San Dimas Wash extension. So this is at Sunflower and Gladstone. These are the improvements through Gladstone Park. And this is near the end of the trail at Grand and Arrow Highway. The Glendora Avenue project goes from Route 66 to the Village at Foothill. This is the existing intersection of Ada and Glendora. And here are the conceptual improvements. This is looking south on Glendora Avenue. And these are with the conceptual improvements. Same here, this is the crossing at Carroll and Glendora. And this is with the enhanced crosswalks and better signage in the raised bike lane. And this is at the intersection of Foothill and Glendora. And this is with the protected intersection and the enhanced crosswalks. On Foothill Boulevard, this is at Grand. Actually, this is interesting now because this is what it looked like before the bridge was completed. So now with the bridge completed and with some of the first last mile improvements you'll see here. And looking eastbound on Foothill. Again, some of the lane realignment and the bike lane. So what is the role of the MOA? The MOA governs the relationship between the city of Glendora and the COG for disposition of the funds and for project delivery. So the COG under this arrangement will undertake all the procurement, the design and construction of these projects, as well as the administration of the funds. The COG's fee for that is about 10% of our grant, so $660,000. Under this MOA, the city is responsible for providing timely technical feedback and support during outreach in the design process as well as construction. And we're also required to pay our local match as stipulated in the funding agreements. So in terms of schedule and funding, we're looking here, this is the San Dimas Urban Trail. It has slid a little bit behind due to the delays from the Army Corps and LA County in permitting the project, but we're still looking to start construction hopefully later in 2024. On Glendora Avenue, once we have the MOA executed, we can start working with the COG to procure a design consultant to environmentally clear and design Glendora Avenue, with construction starting in 2026. Same with Little Dalton Wash. This is our pretty aggressive schedule based on our experience now with the Army Corps. However, a lot of these projects are under CEQA are categorically excluded. So I think we can get some time savings there and hopefully expedite the design and permitting process. And this is the Foothill Boulevard funding scenario here. And I'll note, when we say that there's a $1.5 million shortfall, what that means is that we can accelerate projects that are ready to go now and deliver those, and then apply for grant funds later as we move forward. So for example, we applied for a California Parks grant to pay for the San Dimas Wash, because at this point it's ready for construction, which is a lot of what granting agencies want to see. So those are the type of strategies we can use to reduce that $1.5 million deficit. So in terms of next steps, I'll be working with the COG to procure design and engineering for our projects and to kick that process off. Once we have completed permitting and right-of-way for the San Dimas Wash, the COG will support us through construction. And as part of that process, we'll be going through a CEQA NEPA, which will start in early 2024. That takes about a year, 6 months to a year, depending on the complexity of the project, and looking to start design, which is where we get into the actual engineering of these projects in 2025. I did note we are waiting on the Army Corps permitting. So that is the major holdup with the San Dimas Wash project right now. We're looking to wrap up all of phase 1 by 2026, or in time for the Metro A line station opening. And with that, I can take any questions from the council.
Okay, I'll bring it back. Do we have any questions, Michael?
Thank you, Stephen, for your presentation. Why NEPA and not just CEQA?
So in California, if we were only using non-federal funds, we could get away with just CEQA. When we receive the congressional earmark, that automatically federalizes pieces of the project. So for example, and also when we're working with Army Corps, federal agency, so as part of their permitting, we have to go through NEPA, which is one of the elements that we're working through right now on the San Dimas Wash.
Okay. On the $21 million, the math doesn't work out correct. It's more than a $1.5 million deficit that you have to find. It's more like $7.6 million. Can you explain that gap?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the 1.5 million is looking at what we define as the phase 1 of the People Movement Project. So that would be Glendora Avenue and Foothill Boulevard, First Last Mile, Little Dalton, and the San Dimas Wash projects. The longest trail, or I would say the most expensive piece of the People Movement Project, is the Big Dalton Urban Trail. That's about 5 miles of class 1 or, walking, biking trails along the flood control channels. That's the bulk of that $7 million. So that would be in a later phase of People Movement if we're able to get grant funds.
So this is actually 2 phases, or possibly more.
Possibly 2 or 3. It really is going to depend on, again, the COG has agreed to work with us on funding, finding funds through the state's active transportation program. There's a lot of parks grants that we're discovering. So yes, that will happen at a later phase. Right now we're focused on projects that we've gone through some type of outreach or design on, and ones that we know we're able to deliver within the time frame that we're required under the grants.
Is there any ability to negotiate that 10% from the COG, $660,000? That's a lot of money to.
Yeah, I agree. And we had a lot of discussion. So I probably didn't give enough background on that too. This is a consortium of 7 cities that came together. Glendora actually led the application process through that. And so that 10% applies to each individual city. And 10% is a large, so each city pays 10% of their grant to the COG to administer the program. It does sound like a lot of money. However, when we think about doing things like construction management, quality control, that would be hiring another staff member, whereas we were having the COG just do that for this project, as opposed to bringing on a full FTE, for example, to manage that. So we get savings that way. We also, I think, get a benefit from not having to administer the funds directly. Anytime we get a grant, myself or my colleague, we're the ones that have to do all the grant reporting, all the annual analysis. The COG would take that on for us.
So the $21 million, would that be contained just within the city of Glendora or beyond its borders?
The 20, so those are two separate. So the COGS money only applies to phase one right now. That $21 million, we can work with the COG to fund later pieces of that, or we may pursue that on our own.
No, I know,
Oh,
but the
sorry.
$21 million of identified work, is that within just the city of Glendora?
Oh, I apologize for misunderstanding. Yes, that's correct. It's just within the city of Glendora.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No. Okay, we have a motion by Mendel and a second by Karen.
I'll now conduct oral roll call. Councilmember Elowis,
Yes.
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Councilmember Fredendall,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Thompson,
Yes.
Mayor Boyer.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you,
you.
Stephen. Okay, item number 11, we have an update on our water rates, going to be presented to us by Chisholm Abigalu. Welcome, Chisholm.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. So today I'll be providing a brief update on our water rate study. Just a bit of background. This is one of the key objectives in our 2023-2025 strategic plan, and that is the comprehensive water assessment, which was completed in April of this year. Shortly after that, we also completed the corresponding water rate study, which staff presented to this council in a joint meeting with our Water Commission late last month. And so I just wanted to provide some of the key objectives and updates that will be undertaken over the course of the next several months leading up to implementation. During that joint meeting, one of the more prominent comments or feedbacks that we received was developing a comprehensive education outreach for our community. And so we have coordinated that effort with our public information officers. And so this table enumerates some of the key meetings that will be undertaken over the course of the next month or so. Starting out with Proposition 218 notice, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that encompasses in the next slide, but this is essentially a notice that talks about why we're increasing water rates or decreasing water rates or amending the water rates, and really the implications of that, and also gives an idea of what folks can expect coming forward. October 16th will be our coordinating council meeting in which staff will be presenting to this entity. October 17th will be our first community workshop, which will be held at the Bidwell Forum. And again, this is really just an opportunity for folks to engage with staff, answer any questions they may have regarding their water rate amendments. And then at the request of Mayor Pro Tem, we will also be presenting at the Chamber of Commerce, October 18th. And then we'll have our second Water Commission public hearing. And this public hearing will be to consider recommending to this council to adopt the rates. And then the City Council implementation and adoption will actually be November 28th. And then the new rates will take in effect January 1st of 2024. What is not listed on this slide is, there are some customers that will be significantly impacted by the new rates. And so staff will be having one-on-one meetings with those customers. Again, just to answer any questions they may have, ameliorate any concerns that they may have regarding the rate amendments. And also we'll be utilizing social media to advertise and outreach when appropriate. So this is really the flyer that will be going out to our customers. That should be hitting mailboxes any day now. And again, this talks about what the water rates consist of, gives some information about our water system operations, where we get our water from, and sort of the price amendments that's associated with the water rates adjustments. And also it gives them a QR code where they can actually scan and get more information, such as locating which pressure zone they reside in to better calculate their rates. We'll also include a rate calculator. So based on historical consumption, folks can input their numbers in and see what their proposed rates will actually be, generally speaking. So with that concludes my presentation today.
Okay, I'll bring it back to council for any questions. None? Karen? Okay, I do have one question just to ask. This is our first consideration of a rate increase. When was the last rate increase that we put in place?
Correct. So the last comprehensive rate structure change was in 2016, so over 5 years ago.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Yes.
Okay, so
I do have a motion.
we do have a motion by Michael and a second by David.
Yes, I will now conduct oral roll call. Councilmember Elowis.
Yes.
Councilmember Davis.
Yes.
Councilmember Friedendall.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Thompson.
Yes.
Mayor Boyer.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, item number 12. Discuss a temporary signs in the public right of way. And I understand, Adam, you're going to give us. an
I
update on
am.
this?
So our city clerk, who's currently at a conference, is usually the individual that deals every election cycle with political signs in the right of way and what the questions are. Jeff back there is responsible for the sign code ordinance in place, and the chief back there and his staff are responsible for enforcement. So this is a topic that touches multiple departments, and every election cycle, the questions always come forward, and city council has asked exactly what are the rules. And so we thought we'd give the city council a brief update on what they are. So temporary signage in the public right of way is now what cities refer to as signs that could be political in nature, a la elections, real estate in nature, a la open houses, and any other sorts of advertisements for birthdays and yard sales and you name it. Because of various case law and because of rulings, there's no such thing as political sign ordinances anymore. Those don't exist. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So at a very high level, the city has chapter 19.24 of its municipal code, which is signage. As most signage is, it's split between both public and private signage. The laws and case law basically state cities can dictate time, place, and manner as it relates to businesses and signage, the size of signage on buildings, when you can put out temporary signage, grand openings, etc. Those are the various sections. There are 4 sections that deal with either temporary signage in our code or direct signage in the public on public property. We have temporary real estate signs, single family real estate signs, multifamily real estate signs, and temporary banners that have components of the right of way. Those are all various sections. But tonight we're really here about public property. And that is one section of the code, 19.24.025. Most of the sign code was written in 1980, brief update in 83 in some sections and some in 2008, but largely it remains unchanged since then. You know the old adage, what is new again? What is old is new again. And I think what is old is new again. So in essence, the only type of signage currently the city allows on public property in the right of way are signs no more than 3 square feet, less than 1,000 feet where they're indicating something is, and less than 2 total signs, a la yard sale signs. And in some cases, it could be for a church, for example, if it's in a residential neighborhood. So when we get asked the questions during the political season of where my signs can be located, the answer is not on public property, which is your public right of way, in medians along Foothill, for example, middle of Lone Hill. We don't allow that. In fact, the only type of signage is what we talked about. It is important to note that we have gotten a lot of questions about freedom of speech. So on your private property in a residential unit, for example, we got a lot of questions about an F Biden flag. Turns out that's protected speech. Nothing we can do about that. If you wanted to put a 4-foot by 6-foot sign in your front yard on your property that expresses your political point of view, that's under you. City doesn't get a chance to regulate that political speech. It can't be hate speech. It can't be obscene. There are various rules surrounding those. Bill will happy to share those with you. But to hear this evening, we're really talk about public signage in the right of way. So given the city's limited rules surrounding public signage and its limited allowances for that, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. Oh, I do have the controller. Look at that. All right. City council really has 3 options. So you can have staff move forward with an amendment to make minor changes to the sign code chapter 19.24. For example, we could allow no signs in the right of way whatsoever, including the 3-foot signs. You could direct staff to have a comprehensive update of our sign ordinance with the caveat that this is a pretty labor intensive process. We'd want to look at the strategic plan, other initiatives that we have, and maybe move some things around to determine priority level. And of course, the city council always has potential option 3 with there's no action. And as oftentimes is the case, any combination thereof is also before the council for approval. So just thought it was important tonight as we get forward to an election a little more than a year from now. The question inevitably comes up, where can I put my signs? And the answer is not on public property at any time, anywhere. They will be taken down and you'll be contacted and provided them back to you. We don't destroy those signs. So with that, Mayor, happy to turn it over for any conversation, answer any questions. Jeff, the chief, are here as well to answer any enforcement and or sign code historical development options as well.
Okay, appreciate it, Adam. Anybody questions? David?
Thank you, Adam. I, for one, don't think we can afford to tap or tax staff to go into a lengthy review, and there's more important things to be doing in the city. So I wouldn't want to do a complete overhaul. I will ask, we have a public right or private property ordinance says 3 square feet for a sign. So many campaign type signs or yard sale signs are typically that size frame.
It's actually 3 square feet in the public property.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in a private property, I can put anything as big as I wish.
Unless there's a public safety component or there's some other issue.
Fair
Yes.
enough. All right. Is there, I guess, how much work would be involved if we were to come back to some nominal size factor as opposed to these large billboards, 4 foot by 6 foot placards and things that occupy some properties during the campaign season? Is that a major effort, or is that something that would make sense?
Nope, that would be done fairly simply. We did it recently for Rancho Palos Verdes.
But Bill, what about private property?
The only thing we can do on private property would be regulate size. Can't regulate content. You may be able to regulate size.
Understand? Yeah, that's
And,
reasonable.
and we've done some of that before. So we could give you some samples to work with if you wanted to.
I would think some kind of a sizing thought might make sense, but I would also hope that anybody ambitious enough to be a candidate and want to go through a process to have a public office would also be respective of each other's signs and, placement and things.
You might assume that, but that would be a mistake.
Well, I played nice when I did that, but yeah, okay.
Political signs disappear all the time.
Well, anyway, I don't see a whole lot of energy available to spend on it. So thank you.
Karen.
I would concur with not wanting to have staff do a lot of work, but if there's any common sense things, I mean, as my colleague just said, it would be nice if everyone employed that common sense. But as evidenced by comments I've gotten from the public is that people unfortunately don't always exercise that. In the last election, specifically the school board election, was one in which signage was a little ad nauseum. And so I think that's what people are asking questions about, if we can maybe have any regulation on size and amount. And I think, don't we currently have some guideline as to when you can first begin to put signs out? Or is that just a best
We hope
practice?
we can all get along best practice. Yeah.
Yes, and some campaigns have already begun as of now, and it's more than a year away. I would hope that signage doesn't begin popping up, because that is a little much.
And I think to that extent, I think Bill can provide some parameters. Usually before an event, whatever that event is, the city can say, hey, there's you're temporarily allowed to have a sign of this size X amount of days before an event. You don't want to say specifically an election. It could be a yard, but on private property, and there could be some size that we'd have to take a look at, but that could be a common sense approach. Yes.
Yeah, so if there are some things that we could do, just because unfortunately people don't always exercise common sense on their own, if we could offer that advice to them in a way that would be legal and fair, that would be fabulous.
Okay, appreciate it. Thanks, Karen. Any comments, Michael?
Yeah, I'm of the opinion of not really taxing staff to do much, because this is would be a huge overhaul, but option one, as far as removing signs and then the public right of way, I think that would be a wise thing to do and it'd be fairly simple to do. So that would be my direction I'd like to see happen.
I think the only one there that may be impacted is a church that has some signage in the public right of way. It's in a residential neighborhood. But
it's still on public property.
Yeah, I believe Glenkirk Church has a couple signs in the public right of way that meets the definitions of this chapter. But we'd be happy if that's the direction of council to go see what's actually out there and come back to see if there's any allowances that we may have to have.
Protection being a church for its signs on public property.
It's a First Amendment protection that applies to all signs, church signs, all signs.
Right, but if
Commercial
it's on-
signs don't have quite that much protection, but even they enjoy First Amendment protections.
Right, but on public property though, can we
So
ban
we
signs?
can prohibit signs on public property. You could have a blanket prohibition. That's not unusual.
Okay.
It's fairly common, actually.
That'd be the direction I like to see as an amendment.
Mendel.
I would agree with that, and I would agree with what Karen said. I would be more specific and say that 60 days prior to election is enough. If you can't make your case in 60 days, then you probably shouldn't run. And it's clutter that we don't need. And I agree with what she said. So I don't know if there's any way that we could be specific in terms of when signs are put up. And also they need to be, taken down in a common sense, prompt way. So those are the two thoughts that I would have.
And that's on private property.
Yes, sir.
Okay, might it be a good idea that we ask that maybe staff can get back to us with some examples and recommendations that other cities have adopted for us to take a look at rather than just trying to guess at what we.
Sure.
Okay.
And just to make sure we're on the same page, that's strictly private property, correct?
Yeah.
Well, we have public property for the signs on lamp posts and the like.
So we only allow signage in the public right of way. When the content of such signs shall be limited to the name of the organization, directions to the property site, no sign shall be larger than 3 square feet. No more than 2 signs shall be posted within city limits of any property site. No sign shall be posted farther than 1,000 feet from the boundary of the property site. Signs shall be posted on street light standards or street signposts no higher than 8 feet above the ground. That is the only signage on public property that we currently allow for general type of signage outside of a very specific thing like a real estate transaction.
Right, but a lot of those signs end up staying there for a long time.
Well, but I think you're talking about a wayfinding sign. I've seen a number of those in your city where it says up the hill to the church of whoever.
I think a lot of what we heard tonight was private property in residential neighborhoods, the 8 foot by 8 foot signs being up for a year. I think that's the conversation.
But I didn't believe that we could regulate private property signs.
We can't regulate content, but we could regulate time, place, and manner, particularly if they create blight or public safety issues.
So what if they don't create public safety issues?
Well, we'll have to give you some examples and let you look at them. You're right. We are very limited in what we can do. But I've seen message signs, which just happen to have political content to them, where there were 30 such signs on a front lawn.
Well, let me just ask this question. Are we having any issues right now with signs?
We get questions every election, and we get people who hate them and people who love them and everywhere in between. But every election we get asked this question, what's allowed? So
Right, but beyond the election cycle, do we have problems with signs?
the biggest complaint we got about 40 emails over a 2-week period on 2 F Biden flags that were in the city.
So it's rare that we have these complaints.
It does happen on occasion, but generally speaking, it is rare.
So I think staff is anticipating next year and trying to give you some options so that those 40 email complaints don't come in next year. There'll be 32 new ones.
So then staff is on the recommendation, sounds like from council to come back for some suggestions and options.
If we're okay with that,
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Okay. Happy to do that.
Be the direction.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, well, that brings us to the end of our agenda for member statements. Anybody have anything? No, Karen? Okay, Adam?
Just a couple, lots of information this evening that was shared during public comment, and a couple of the updates. Want to share a couple of websites with you. cityofglendora.org// finance reports provide you all the financial information. / Dale Road for the project that was discussed at our community meeting last night. Homelessness plan for all the homeless information you've ever wanted to know about the city. Community survey to get data going back to 2011, including a 2019 homelessness survey, and strategic plan for all the information we shared this afternoon.
Okay, appreciate it, Adam. If there's nothing else, I'd just like to again reiterate the fact that all of us as members of the community need to stay engaged and keep a conversation going. And we'll continue to do the best we can for the community. With that, we are adjourned at 8:57.